Good morning, everyone. I call the meeting to order. If I could ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Senator Barfoot,
Here.
Senator Bell,
Here.
Senator Chastain, here. Senator Figures,
Here.
Senator Livingston,
Here.
Senator Orr,
Here.
Senator Roberts,
Here.
Senator Schofield,
Here.
Senator Singleton,
Here.
Senator Smitherman, Senator Williams,
Here.
Representative Almond,
Here.
Representative Boyd,
Here.
Representative Carnes,
Here.
Representative Klaus,
Here.
Representative Ellis, Representative England,
Here.
Representative Hall, Representative Jones,
Here.
Representative Lovern,
Here.
Representative Pringle,
Here.
Representative Reynolds. 19.
Have a quorum in place. Thank you. First item of business be review and approve the minutes from the last meeting. They should be in your packet.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd move approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Motion by Senator Orr. Is there a second? Second. Second by Chairman Pringle. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against, say nay. Nay. One nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Chairman, you want to move forward? We want to bring up the first plan. That would be the plan. It is named Opportunity. If we could put that on the board.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator?
point of order. Could you just explain to us what is this exercise we're about to go through at this point?
We're going to review the plans that are listed on the agenda item.
All right? And we're going to go through each and every one of these again.
I don't think they're new, are they? Or old, are they?
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Orr?
is this the same as what I'm holding in my hand that we got in our packet that says Community of Interest Plan? I don't see an opportunity plan in my packet.
Neither do I.
Oh, I did find it. It was out of order. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, mine was too.
I don't see it. No, opportunity right there.
Further down.
Yeah. Mr. Chair? Yes, Representative England.
Almost gave me a promotion. We have on the agenda there are a list of plans, and I understood that we had several other plans submitted. How were these specific plans chosen for review today and others eliminated?
As I told the committee earlier, we were being completely overwhelmed with the number of plans that were sent in, and we were processing them as fast as possible. And these are generally, you will notice that the plans begin to look very similar in shape, depending on who's drawing them. So we did the best we could to pick a representative number of plans that kind of represent the different avenues we have to try and achieve our goal. And I'd like to remember, and let me read this to you. I want to start this off with it. This is from the court. Okay, I want to read, while we have this discussion, I want everybody to understand exactly what the court said in their ruling. A preliminary hearing began on January 4, 2022, and concluded on January 12. On January 24, 2022, this court preliminary enjoined Alabama from using the plan in the forthcoming elections, finding that Alabama's 2021 redistricting map likely violates Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, and that the quote, appropriate remedy is a congressional redistricting plan which includes either an additional majority black congressional district or an additional district in which black voters otherwise have an opportunity to elect a representative of their choice. So I want you to understand what the court gave us, directions.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
my packet is missing the VRA plaintiff's remedial map, but I have two. Hatchers.
Okay, I'm sorry we did that last time, but I will get the clerk. Will the clerk, can we get the staff to please go get copies of the VRA plaintiff's plan and remedial plan and get it, bring it to here, bring us here? Because it's number G on the agenda, so.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Representative Jones.
I put them in order.
when the question was asked about how did we determine what plans were we going to discuss, would you please define for me who we might be? We narrowed them down. Who is we?
The staff. The staff that's in reapportionment that is horrifically overworked right now.
And what was that based on?
It's a representation of the plans, all the plans that have come in. And if you want, I mean, I know what you're getting to, but do you really want 100 maps laying on your desk?
Maybe. I would like to see them.
Well, yeah, we'll let you go upstairs and look at all the ones that have been imported. But remember this. Let me. We haven't been able to get them all loaded. There's only one person in the entire staff that can load maps into the computer. All right? Only one. The other ones cannot do that. And that person has been tied up working with the attorneys and other members of the legislature. So we're having a terrible time getting the maps loaded. And remember this, okay? The employees of reapportionment are Senate employees. They're not House employees, so I have no control over them. They don't work for me. Okay, they work for the Senate, the clerk of the Senate. And I'm not trying to hide anything from you. I know y'all want to put this out.
The committee,
Well, but they are employees of the Senate.
but they still work for the committee.
But they are employees of the Senate, and I have no control over getting somebody hired that can help.
For the committee's succession.
Next. We're going to bring the VRA plan down to the members. But the first one before us is House Plan Opportunity. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody like to discuss it? House District 2 under this plan has a 38.31% BVAP in the 2nd district, and in the 7th district, it has a BVAP of 52.29%.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I can tell that this plan changes Tuscaloosa County's line, but I cannot tell from the map exactly how it changes and where it falls. And I did attempt this weekend to get a more specific answer to my question, but I think I'm going to have to do that after this committee. So,
Can y'all bring the map up and zoom in on Tuscaloosa County? I'd also like to remind the members that you are welcome. If you have a map you would like to bring, you can call it up and we'll get it. You can bring up any map you want to. And remember, there's nothing that prevents you from introducing your own plan today and bringing it up in committee. There's nothing that stops any member of the legislature from introducing any plan they want. So if you have a plan, Representative Jones, please by all means have it drafted and put it before the committee, the House chamber. Can y'all zero in tighter on Tuscaloosa County?
yeah.
Can you pull in tighter?
Well, I think until we get down to the street level, I'm not going to be able to, I mean, certainly can't tell, I guess, on this map. So that would be, I don't know if we have maps with street levels available to us in the committee hearing, but I guess that's one of my questions.
I know we can get down to street level in the office, but we only have one computer on the desk that will do that. So
Okay.
we can't get any tighter on Tuscaloosa County?
Yeah. Not if you're using this map, you're not going to be able to get any tighter. This is what it is.
I'm sorry, but the streets will not show on the PDF. I just found out. So unfortunately, we can't zoom in much tighter than we can on what you saw there.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if we go to the
Senator.
reapportionment office, are we able to pull those up a little bit better if we go there on our own? Or is
Yes.
that just the way it is?
Any member of the committee can go in and look. We just unfortunately don't have the technology to provide that information. And I hate it, but I just don't have the technology available. Well, the committee, the state.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Representative England.
Okay, I'm confused, and it's probably just me. Are we voting on these maps today?
We intend to vote a map out. Yes, sir.
And it's going to be one of the maps here on the agenda?
I would assume so, yes, sir.
All right, so that also increases the relevance of the question that I proposed earlier, and also Representative Jones posed earlier. Since I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, I haven't been a part of this process, really. I didn't have a role in picking the potential maps that were up for review today. And I don't know if any of the other 50, 60, or however many maps, whoever vetted those and decided that they were going to be the ones that we vote on, have any more or less merit than the ones that actually made the agenda. It just makes me uncomfortable knowing that there could potentially be other alternative maps that have better concepts, better communities of interest, or potentially fit the court order better that we don't get an opportunity to vet or vote on. So just for the record, this process feels like these maps are kind of being forced on us. Also, to point out that we didn't get these until Friday. The process itself just doesn't seem like it's working very well, and I would love to have an opportunity to look at the other maps that we are not going to get an opportunity to vote on today. Thank you.
I understand, Representative, and again, there's only one person in the office that can load maps. Only one of all the people there. And she is working as fast as she can possibly work to import these maps and to get this stuff. Therefore, we concentrated on maps put in by members and the plaintiffs. If you wanted to put a map in, you could very well have put a map in. We're not trying to be nefarious. We're trying to be as open and transparent as possible, given the constraints on time and staff that we have.
All right, so am I to believe that the maps that all I see here today were all submitted by members and plaintiffs?
Some of them came in from email too, yes.
So there were maps that were emailed to the committee that were picked?
That's my understanding from the clerk, yes.
Outside of the plaintiffs and outside of members?
That's my understanding, yes.
So what were the criteria used to select the maps outside of members and plaintiffs?
I asked the clerk to give us some maps that represented what we were seeing in the other maps.
So
I know no matter what I do, you're getting on the record that you don't feel comfortable. I understand that. I mean,
No,
I know what's going on, but understand I'm not trying to keep anything from you, Representative. I'm doing the best I can.
I'm just going to tell you, I don't do anything for performative purposes. This is to see clarity in a process that we're all supposed to be involved in, that we're trying to figure out to create a map that complies with the court's order. So I'm not doing this just for show. What I really wanted this to be a meaningful, exhaustive process that we were all involved in, and this has been, quite frankly, exactly the opposite of that. So, again, I'm just telling you from me that it bothers me that I don't know who is responsible for the opportunity map. I don't know who's responsible for the AKC map. I don't know who's responsible for the community of interest plan. So I don't know who's responsible for the Russell split plan. And I don't know what criteria was used to decide that these were the ones that we were going to vote, actually officially vote on today. I don't have enough information to comfortably ask you any questions about any of these maps, other than just a few numbers, because I don't know if they've been, if in any independent analysis done on any of these maps to determine if they would satisfy the court's order. I don't know if there's done any racial polarization studies, which was in fact identified in the Supreme Court opinion and the district court opinion about racially polarized voting in Alabama. I don't know if any of these plans, with the exception of the VRA plan, has been studied for racial polarization purposes. So, and quite frankly, we are unprepared to ask any real impactful questions about these maps because we don't really know anything about them. So again, this process has really put the members of the committee and the public at large at an extreme disadvantage.
Representative, I can assure you that if you would join the attorneys, you and Representative Jones, the other members, if you would ask the court to delay the July 21st deadline that's been imposed on us, I'll be happy to move that deadline and take another, however long you are willing to agree with us that we need. How much more time do you need? And let's go to the court and ask them to extend the deadline so we can accomplish all these goals you want to accomplish.
Well, I will, quite frankly, I wasn't a part of the violating the Constitution, so I think it's quite unfair.
Representative, the court was a violation of Section 2. It was not a violation of the Constitution, and it was a Section 2.
So wait a minute. You're telling me that the VRA, the Voting Rights Act, is not rooted in constitutional principles? That's where it came from. That's why we have this lawsuit.
But the violation was Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. It was not a 14th Amendment violation.
I think you're a little bit mistaken on that, but that's regardless of the point.
Let me, Senator Smitherman.
And I guess I'm finished now?
I'll get you. I'm sorry.
I guess I'm finished now?
I'm sorry. I thought you were.
See, never mind. It's going to be a long meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I was inquiring about the functionality reports. Do we have those?
There should be one attached to each map. Yeah, I mean, this district opportunity has, the 7th is 52.29%, and the 2nd district is 38.31% of black voting age population.
Is there available a more, what it really is? That seems to be a sort of a caption, not the report itself.
Yeah, right.
So I can't, what?
It seems to be a caption of, I guess, whatever the report may be, but can we have access to the report itself?
Yeah, I mean, that's we don't do racial polarization voting analysis.
I didn't say anything about racial polarization. I just said the functionality report. I'm not, I ain't said a word about race.
No.
I'm trying to get that same report I'm trying to get the last meeting. That's all.
What exactly report are you asking for?
It's the functionality report of that district. It's not simply the race of the district.
I know exactly what you're.
You know what I'm talking about now.
We have somebody working on those, but again, because of the time compression, it's taken the person a while to finish those reports, and we're going to get them to you as fast as we can.
I think that, may I speak?
Sure.
Oh, okay. I think that they're going to be critical because as we look at these districts, it's one thing to talk about black and white ratio of a district, but it's another thing to talk about the voting of that district. And I stand here as a testament myself that, I think that the how those districts vote. That has a lot to do with similarity and commonalities of interest. And I think that we need to know that information, because when you're making a decision on which districts should be viewed in terms of opportunity districts, you've got to see if they're, in other words, it's like the report said, is it functioning in that manner? You know, and I think that these reports will show which districts are and which districts are not just a pure of black vote and white vote. It's because we're talking about a district voting. Let me just back out and say it like this. You know, you got everybody sitting up here is politically astute. You got about a third, a little more than that, of people in here who vote Republican. You got not maybe quite that many who vote Democrat, and you got that section about the same amount that vote independent. I think everybody can know that, and we're really in the actuality talking about those people and their ability to be independent and which way they go, regardless of who's running. And I think that report, that's what it does. It shows us those districts that perform in those manners. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm just saying that I think it will behoove all of us to have it before we start voting, because we won't really have an accurate picture of what we call ourselves voting on. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Figures.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, how long does it take to, what did you say, download or upload each map?
That's a question I cannot answer. There's
Can
only
we
one
get the
person in
answer?
the office that knows how to
I
do
know
it.
you keep saying that, but if it required more people for us to meet this deadline, those people should have been hired. But the maps, a deadline date of July 7th was given for turning in all the maps. And I'm sure that many of the maps had already been submitted prior to that date. Then we're talking about 10 days from that date that we are now having our first committee meeting. So I just would like to know the numbers since you said it was only one person working, only one person downloading, I would like to know just how much time does it take to download one map? I mean, we're at a computer, the computer's doing all the work. It sounds like to me it could have been possible, as well as hiring other people or bringing other people from other departments to work on this to meet this deadline, because we're talking about, we've been court ordered to do this. And leadership should have asked for more time, because I knew in the beginning it was not going to be enough time, because when we normally do reapportion, we go across the whole state with the maps that are going to be looked at, and we get the input from the community. There's several meetings around the whole state. When I was on the reapportionment committee the time before this one, I went to every meeting, and that's important. So I totally agree with Representative England, and we are, as well as the public, are at a great disadvantage. And that's not to you personally, but whoever made all of the decisions, that's who that statement goes to. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And you know, we have somebody working on these performance maps, because the plaintiffs didn't turn one in. We're the only people doing the performance analysis, so we're having to analyze the plaintiffs' maps and our maps and the other maps that have come in. It's just, and I have repeatedly asked for additional staff. Repeatedly, for well over a year, I've asked for additional staff to be put into the reapportionment office, and I've not been successful getting the clerk of the Senate to do that for me. So,
Mr.
that,
Chairman.
Barbara, Representative Boyd.
Thank you so much. I didn't know if you noticed that we were sharing a map, and I'm very much confused. I walk in, I won't go to thank you so much for making room. We are here to represent, such as my colleagues, is the public. On our last, we went around, we had time to go around to the districts. I got a rude awakening when I had mine, that I didn't realize there were so many among us who hadn't had the opportunity to even know what we were doing, what the process was about. I guess not being a lawyer, I agree with Representative Ingham, but I can compare it to teaching a class. In education, I wouldn't walk into my classroom and just have a line of things out there for you to pick up that you had not seen. Or I would have given them time to say, today we will use this time to go back a step as we, a committee, review them first, and then you come back for everyone. I don't know what he meant when he referred for him to ask the courts for a delay, if I understood correctly. And I understood that his answer was he didn't violate it very well. But I'm sitting here I prayed when I sat down, if you noticed me, all over a chair situation, thanks to my good chairman here. I'm sitting here now just choosing my words, trying carefully to get something done with malice. I think Abraham Lincoln said it well, and with malice, what? Toward none, and with each of us here to do the best that we can do. We can't do it starting off without all that we need and to be informed and to be confused. There's no way. Mr. Chairman, I said this each time I've sat on this committee. Why can't we get it right? We know better. Do we have to wait for someone to tell us and to put the blame on? I've been around, and I must say this. In my years in Alabama, everything that's come down through us has come down through the courts. And to God be the glory. I hope this one doesn't go back for a second time and that we will do the right thing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. The chair now recognizes Senator Singleton.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'm just still curious over here as the author of these maps. On last week, if these maps was here, why didn't these maps, the AKC, the Russell Split, and all of these plans come before this body last week when every member was standing up or every person was standing up and explaining their map? Dr. Joe Reed in our audience had to stand up and explain the Hatchet map. I had to explain the CLC plan, Senator Smitherman, and also Senator Figures. So if these plans are here, are the author of these plans in this audience today? Can you come before us and explain this map and give us the functionality of these maps? If the author is here, and if not, can someone from Reapportionment come and allow us to know who authored these maps? So maybe we can try to get some information from them before we actually have a vote. Is that possible, Mr. Chairman?
Senator, I will be offering the Community of Interest Plan.
Okay. Is this Community of Interest Plan a plan that's supposed to represent this committee?
It's a plan that I have come up with in conjunction with our demographer and our attorney.
So this would be your individual plan?
That would be the plan I will be introducing, yes, sir.
Okay. And what about the AKC 1 plan or the Russell Split plan? Who were the author of those?
That I couldn't tell you right off the bat.
Well, why are we dealing with plans that we don't know who the author of them are, that we can't even get any information that's needed in order to make an informed decision?
It was probably a plan that was sent in via the internet.
Well, why are we dealing with them?
We don't know exactly who the author might be.
But why are we dealing with them then?
Well,
if we can't
if you want to remove
get
those
relevant information, we're going to choose some. What if we think it's the best plan, and we choose something, and we can't even explain to the court where it come from?
Well, Senator, would you like to table those plans and not discuss them? The public sent them.
I'm just asking a legitimate question to the chair, the co-chair of this committee.
I will do what the committee wishes. If you wish to table the plans, you don't know the author,
Okay.
we can table.
So the community of interest is going to be your plan.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Which one of these plans would be representative of the whole committee?
Well-
Since the committee was given the task to come up with a plan.
Well, it's Senator Livingston and myself. That will be the plan we offer, yes.
So this is coming from you and Senator Livingston.
Well, Senator, can I ask who drew your plan?
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Right? But all I'm asking you is all these plans that we're going over, these could have been vetted last week if they were already in the system, and now you're bringing them here. It's almost like confusion, and I just want to know which one's supposed to be representative of me as a member of this committee.
Representative, as of last Thursday, when we concluded the meeting, we ended public input. We took that input and we finalized a plan that I introduced as community of interest.
Okay.
But I had to take public input before I could put a plan out. I mean,
No, you didn't. You didn't have to.
Well, I had to listen to what the public said.
Yeah, you didn't have to do that.
I didn't have to have public hearings.
You had to have public hearing, but you could have put a map in, so the public could have gave input on that particular map.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Co-Chair.
So
well-
we are just placeholders, seat holders up here, with no voice whatsoever, Mr. Chairman.
Can we just agree that we're gonna discuss these maps based on the lines that are drawn on the maps and not the person who drew them?
But you all have your votes already in order to approve your map. And we knew that's the way it was going to go.
And Senator, every member of the Alabama legislature has the right to introduce a plan in the chamber this afternoon.
Mr. Chairman, you all could at least act like you're trying to work with somebody. Just act like it. But you have shown us time after time after time that's not what you all intend to do. And that's what y'all been doing since 2010.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a question.
Sure, Representative Jones.
You mentioned that Senator Livingston and yourself were going to offer the community of interest plan based on what was said at the public hearing. So are you telling me that this plan represents what you heard at the public hearing?
Yes, what I've heard and what I think complies with the Constitution
Okay.
and Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act.
Okay, so the people who came up here and spoke and asked questions and presented plans and all those things, and the community of interest plan is what your summation is of what happened here last Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Again, before the committee right now is a plan labeled opportunity. Let's get to the plan before the committee. Yes, sir, Senator Smitherman.
All right. Do you want me to wait till I get to, you had mentioned about the one you were offering. You want me to wait till we get to that one if we're going to go through each one of them?
Yes, sir.
And then after you go through them, then you're going to come back and vote like that? That's the process?
Yes, sir. We need to get through all the plans and discuss them. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll wait till we get to that plan.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions on the opportunity plan? All right, again, let me point out to the people in the community that are watching here and listening, every member of this committee received these plans at the same exact time. Every member of this committee received these plans at the same exact moment. We released them to the committee. Are there any questions on opportunity? Going once?
Yes.
Okay. Senator Singleton.
Tell me, how many splits are in this plan? And if it meets the VRA, and tell me why you think it meets the Voter Right Act requirements.
My understanding, there's 6 splits and 6 precinct splits in this map.
Okay, well, do you feel that it meets the VRA requirements, and why?
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, yes,
Mr. Chairman.
yes.
It-
Yeah, I'm sorry, Senator Boffer.
Sorry. if I could interject, I think, as a lawyer, I often advise my clients that, outside of the legal purview, when you're ever asked a legal question, if they're not a lawyer, not to answer a legal question. I don't know whether or not Senator Roberts knows the answer to that, but that is certainly something that lawyers could analyze and agree or disagree on. So, I don't know that that's a question that this committee or committee members would have all the facts and details from a legal perspective.
Senator Smitherman? Yeah.
I have a question.
That's laughable.
All right.
This wasn't my initial statement and a question about this, because I do have a question about this. But I think don't we have a capable lawyer for this committee? I know he's capable. I know he's like Shaft. He's one of them bad ones, them good ones. That means good. So I think that any questions we got legally, we do have a lawyer that can, I think, address it on behalf of any member of this committee. So is he here? Is our lawyer here, Mr. Chairman?
I don't see him in the room, no.
Okay, all right. My question is that I'm looking at we're talking about the opportunity plan now, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm looking at it, and just through my observation and summation of the second sheet that's on it, we're probably trying to designate District 2 as the opportunity district. I'm just looking at the percentage of African Americans in that district. So I would just guesstimate that. And it's looking at 38.31 in terms of African American population. I think that there's two critical things that have to be reviewed by members of this committee. And one is, what is the voting age of those populations? See, that's very critical. You could have a district with African Americans, that percentage, and you may have 40% of them maturing. They can't even vote. See, so now all of a sudden you got a double whammy where you may have of the majority population, you might have 70% of them as adults. Now you're looking at not 38 and 52, you're looking at 70-30.
Senator,
and I would just, if you don't mind, I'm gonna be short with it. But that's why it's so necessary to look at the voting, even the voting trends, because if this is a flat 38%, you understand what I'm saying, versus a voting trend where people will be open-minded enough and open-hearted enough to just go at people who represent the issues and that's it, then, if this is a flat percentage, African-American ain't gonna never win in this district. It ain't gonna never, ever happen. And that just being the realities of, what it is what it is. So that's why I say all that is critical, because that's what I'm not telling you nothing nobody don't know, but that's what the court said. There's got to be an opportunity, just show me. It's got to be laid out in that district that it's a reasonable opportunity for anybody to have a chance to win in that district. And I'm calling for that again, because we just said we're going to vote in here as a committee on stuff that we don't even know whether or not that district can do that, because all we looking at is just raw numbers. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
and I'd like to point out that is 38.31% black voting age population in that district. That's your BVAP in that district, 38.31%. Senator Figure.
Thank you.
But, Mr. Chairman, the white voting population is 52.37%. There's no way this is an opportunity.
Ma'am, I didn't draw the map.
It's just one opportunity black district on this map.
We are here to discuss those. That's what, so. Any more discussion on the opportunity map? Next on the list is the AKC plan. Does anybody here like to discuss this plan? Anybody in the room? Anybody?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir,
Mr.
Senator
Chair.
Smithman.
Like this map, like
Sing.
the other one, I'm looking at the black belt is totally being split, and I would think that the black belt, is in terms of a community of interest, needs to be made whole. And could you tell me why you're splitting the black belt the way it is being split on this AKC plan?
I did not draw this plan. I'm looking at it for probably the second time. It was one that was sent in.
So who can I get answers from?
Whoever sent it in, I don't know who it is. I mean, we put it out the end. Somebody just emailed it in to me. Well, you complain that I don't put all the plans that were sent in on the internet in front of you. Then when I put one in front of you, you complain about not being able to ask questions about it. What do you want me to do? This is a plan that obviously I've been told it was sent in by the public. It was just brought in off the internet.
All right.
Any questions on the AKC Plan 1? Public plan.
I will move on.
Now we go to the whole Jefferson plan. No, I mean, okay, this plan, District 7 is a 40.57% black VBAP, and District 6 is a 40.11% BVAP. Wouldn't that put Palmer and Terry Sue? That would put Representative Palmer in Congressional District 7 and Representative Terry Sewell in Congressional District 6.
So where are the two black districts?
It'd be 6 and 7, according to this plan.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
is this one of those internet plans?
I'm trying to find out right now.
It's one of them.
Do we have any questions on it? I mean, Representative Sewell will be put in the 6th district, and Representative Gary Palmer will be placed in the 7th district.
I thought Palmer lived in Hoover.
No.
Oh, okay, sure.
Well, we don't know who presented the plan. It must have been one that came in on the internet. So with that, let's move to the next one. The Singleton Congressional Plan.
All those plans been vetted.
Chair recognizes Senator Singleton.
Those have been vetted already, Mr. President, Chairman.
So
Those have been vetted already.
Okay, we've already discussed those. Does anybody else in the committee want to ask questions about Senator Singleton's plan?
Number 3.
Yes.
Yes, Senator
Yes, sir.
Smitherman.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to give just briefly. I'm just going to give you a brief summation of something that has been presented to the.
Please, talk into the microphone a little more, please, sir. Thank you.
Let me just take it off here, if I can, so I can. Thank you. That's better, Mr. Chairman. If you recall at the last meeting, and it's a part of the committee's record, that this plan, first of all, was a zero deviation plan. And in this plan, it sought to provide one of the elements that's being addressed by the court in the Singleton and Senator Singleton and our plaintiffs in the case, and that is whole counties. This plan keeps Jefferson County intact, and you know, in the past, as I look at these plans, each one of them goes in just to pluck out a certain percentage of African Americans to satisfy some other district. And of course, it goes against the grain of us as a county as a whole in terms of the interests of communities, as well as it provides an opportunity to where we'll have 2 districts that African Americans can have a opportunity to be elected. I think if you look at the breakdown of the, and as I was asking for the functionality report, this is only a portion of the complete report, of a report of the nature in which I was requesting. But on this particular map, you actually have the performance. You actually have this map. I don't know if it was put on the back with the map, because I did make it a part of the record last meeting, where it talks about it says the following tables shows the results of previous statewide races in congressional districts 6 and 7. And that is 6 and 7 as it is drawn on this map. These are the performances as the way the map look now at 6 and 7. And I'm not going to give all of them for time brevity. But in this district, in 6, in 2012, in the presidential race where President Obama was running against Mr. Romney, this district voted 53.2% Democratic. The 7th district voted 55.7% Democratic. If you move down to the Governor Bentley's race, the 6th district voted 50.3% Democratic, and the 7th district voted 53.5% Democratic. And I could go on this list, and it should be a part of our record of last week. But that's what I was making reference to the report, to indicate in these other districts, whether or not they perform on this same manner where a person would have an opportunity to especially if they were African American, to be elected in these districts. But that is one of the reasons why I'm saying that this is a good map, because number one, it meets the requirements of a whole county. That's number one. Number two, it eliminates gerrymandering. Number three, it provides 2 districts that will provide the opportunity for African Americans to be elected, because it has shown on the performances from 2012 all the way through to 2022 that these districts provide that opportunity. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I would just say that this district meets all those particular requirements that's necessary, that is set out by the court, and it's 0 deviation. So with that in mind, I'll thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to talk about it.
Thank you, Senator. Does anybody else have any comments on the Singleton Congressional Plan? Let me state, I appreciate you stating that. So it is your opinion that a district that has 41.59% black voting age population and the second district that has 46.87%, both of which are under 50% BVAP, would be acceptable to the courts?
Yes, I think it would, based on the voting performance of those districts. I mean, I don't mind saying it sitting here. I think most of my colleagues in the Senate know what I'm getting ready to say, but some of you in the House may not. I mean, it's only been 1 or 2 terms in the district that I represent since 1994 that the voting population, to my knowledge, of African Americans was less than the voting population of non-African Americans. And thank to the Lord, they've sent me down here since 94 to now. And so I think the district it chose for itself. I think if you look countywide in that district, and anybody from Jefferson County will attest to what I'm getting ready to say, is that that district, even though Jefferson County is not majority African Americans, like 46, I guess, percent or something of that nature, but that county saw fit to elect 9 African American females to district and circuit judgeships. So that area has shown that it has a willingness, if you're a good candidate, that they're going to elect you, and color is not the primary factor, and that's what you got to have in the opportunity district. Because if you're broken down into color, then everybody's going to go over here and everybody's going to go over here, and you're never going to have an opportunity, or you're never going to have any African Americans to be elected to those positions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator, because I agree with you that it's been proven in Jefferson County that 10 to 12% of white people vote solid Democrat in that county, which makes it an opportunity. However, I'd like to point out the Singleton Congressional Plan is not a whole county plan. It's got 6 splits in it. It splits Franklin County, it splits Jefferson County, it splits St. Clair County, it splits Coosa County, it splits Crenshaw County, and it splits Covington County. But
Mr. Chairman, you said,
yes, sir.
Good. I'm trying to look and see where I'm looking at the map. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
When you said Jefferson, I see that little knot up.
Yeah, it takes a couple thousand people out of Jefferson County and moves them up into the 4th Congressional District.
And I think that when you look at it, though, and you look at the achievement of 0 deviation and the opportunity, I think that you can clearly see that plan provides very much with the court.
It provides an opportunity based on performance, in your words.
Yes.
Okay. Based on the performance of the voters in that district, you consider 7 and 6 opportunity districts for Democrats?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I do.
Thank you. Any more questions on this plan? Yes, sir. Representative England.
Just for point of clarification, you said that you consider, one of the questions that you asked, you consider this to be an opportunity district for Democrats?
Yes, sir.
No, I said, let me change that. Now, thank you for correcting me. May I be recognized? I see it as an opportunity for anybody to get elected. I think it's been proven. I mean, that, as I just said to you myself, you take the district I represent. I mean, I'm proud of the areas I represent. But, I represent Homewood, Hoover, Mountain Brook, Ross Bridges, just name a few. So I'm just saying that it's an opportunity if you're a good candidate, and I represent Birmingham also, but it's an opportunity if you're a good candidate to be elected, regardless of your race, regardless of the party, and that's the kind of districts I think those will do. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Again,
Yes, Representative England.
And I certainly, I do appreciate that. I just wanted to point out a couple of things. That, if I'm not mistaken, in the district court ruling, it was stated that Alabama has a strong tendency towards racially polarized voting. And to that end, the goals of the Voting Rights Act aren't just to elect anybody. It's to give African Americans the opportunity to elect a candidate of choice, primarily diverse and inclusive representation, which includes creating an opportunity for black elected officials or people who are black to run for office and actually win. And also in Jefferson County, although there is a lot of crossover, I think you pointed out 10% or so, there are 3 African American senators from Jefferson County, 2 of which are represented by a primarily black population. And to that end also, I think it's clear that the strong pattern in Alabama up until this point, in order to have black representation in the state of Alabama, the district has to have a majority black population. And that's just fact. And over the course of Alabama's history, there have been few aberrations, there have been few exceptions, but the districts that have been created by lawsuits throughout our history to create African American representation, in fact, the largest black delegation by population in the country, if I'm not mistaken, was created by a lawsuit that created majority black districts. So I think as we deliberate, I think it's important to acknowledge that Alabama's rich racial history has required majority-minority districts in order to have black representation in the legislature and so forth. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and I'd like to point this out real quick. 1 minute. It's a district of choice. They have the opportunity to choose the candidate they want to elect. All right, the people who live in that district. And 2 districts in the state of Alabama that are majority-minority have both elected Caucasian men to them. 2 of them. So that's who they chose. They were majority-minority districts, and they chose to elect 2 white men to represent them. So that was their choice. You can't draw a district to force people to elect somebody. They get to choose who they want to elect. Yes, sir.
As a point of order to that, in Alabama's hundreds of years of history, you're pointing to 2 special exceptions out of what the overwhelming amount of evidence and data show. So anybody can point to exceptions, but those exceptions in Alabama are not the rule, which is why we are in the Supreme Court, went to district court, and we're back here redrawing the maps because we don't legislate by exceptions. We're talking about what the practice, the pattern in Alabama has been, not just recently, but throughout its history, which, by the way, is the reason why we have the 7th congressional district in the first place. So I just want to point that out. It's not that we point at exceptions and determine our trajectory by things that rarely happen. We create opportunities which evidence and data have shown that in order to elect African Americans to elected positions in the legislature, it has been required that we have a majority black, at least over 50% population in those districts. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Let me say by no means that I do not hear what my colleague is saying. And I would love to be able to have 2 districts that on its face is majority African American in numbers. The population in the state itself is there. The problem is this, in being able to do it that way. If you look at the course orders, it says that it's 2, I said this earlier, it's 2 phases. The first phase is what got us where we are now. Now the second phase is what we're going to present after we leave here on hopefully Friday, after we leave here. That phase has to meet the standards that the court is going to review. And the court has said in writing in the orders that they're going to use strict scrutiny. And I wish our attorney was here to be able, I would say, would you please tell us what strict scrutiny is, because that is the highest standard in the land, that they're going to review what we send here. And if it's gerrymandering, they're going to be looking close at that. If it's not whole county, they're going to look at that. They're going to look at it from a very strict standpoint. And I think that to be able to draw the districts where you do have 2 districts like that, it's going to be very seriously in close to violation of gerrymandering to be able to do it. So that's one of the things that I want to present to this committee, is that what we send from here is that it has to be something that's going to meet those standards, not what we want on emotions in our heart, but what's going to meet those standards. Because if it doesn't, then, and the court doesn't think it, I don't have to tell anybody up here, it's going to be a standing master. And I'm going to say this in closing, Mr. Chairman. It's just like when you go into court and you have 2 sides. The judge will tell you this sometimes, is that you're going to like and be able to live better with what you compromise on than one person is not going to be able to do it on what I rule on. So I just wanted to put that in the back of our minds. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, this is
Mr. England.
last point. I don't want anyone to walk away from this discussion believing that the court said that there can't be 2 majority black districts. In fact, they said the opposite. Either majority black districts or close thereto. And the fact of the matter is, when drawing maps, compliance with federal law is in fact a compelling state interest that we can, and while we are in fact in the remedy phase of this case, it doesn't happen separate and apart from the actual ruling itself. The ruling itself is what's controlling our action. So we have some guidelines around us as we go through this deliberation process. And there's no safe harbor in terms of numbers of black voting age population and so forth. But I just want to remind everyone here that the court in fact said that it is not an issue to have 2 majority black districts as a result of our deliberations here, and we are to operate in creating districts as close thereto as possible. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Chairman, I want to say quickly, I don't want anybody to think that I say it likewise, at all, about the court saying that, we could not do that.
Yes.
I was just saying when we do it, whether or not it would meet strict scrutiny. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Jones.
I just wanted to point out in this, I'm crystal clear on the exceptions in Jefferson County at this point. I'm crystal clear that you're an exceptional senator, you have an exceptional district. There are 2 others that you mentioned, and there are 64 others that we got to deal with. And they are not under that same exception.
And Mr. Chairman, I understand what my friend is saying, and that's all the more why we need the functionality reports, because those that are not, they ain't electing nobody black. Let's just break it down. Let's don't say it like it is. You got to look at the functionality of those districts to see if there's an opportunity. So you are right. And that's why I single out Jefferson County, because for the purpose of what we're trying to do here, we got to have one that's ready. And we ready. Thank you.
I'd like to, my colleague made a statement earlier that the 2 people who are elected from majority black districts that are not African American, I don't consider that an outlier, because the first person elected was a female, and when she retired, that same majority minority district elected a Caucasian male. So over the period of time, it's proven that just because it's a majority-minority district doesn't necessarily mean it's going to elect a minority candidate. And the one here in Montgomery County did the same thing. We drew a plan that turned a House district from majority white to majority minority, and the incumbent Republican was defeated by a Democrat who happens to be a white male. So the functionality is very interesting conversation, because the district might not necessarily be over 50%, BVAP, because I'm going to read this one more time to the committee. The Voting Rights Act and that the appropriate remedy in a congressional redistricting plan that includes either an additional majority black congressional district or an additional district in which black voters otherwise have an opportunity to elect a representative of their choice. That, in other words, the black voters have the opportunity to nominate somebody that in that district that they want to see elected. And do they have the opportunity to win that district? But it depends on who gets the Democratic nomination. All right, any more questions on Senator Singleton's plan? With that, let's go to the Russell split plan. Would anybody care to discuss this or have any questions? I will tell you it appears District 7 will have a 51.1% black voting age population, and District 2 will have a 43.38% black voting age population, which is, any questions? The deviation is 0, and there are 6 splits in this plan. Any questions?
Is this an internet plan?
I don't believe it is. I don't know. I'm not sure where it came from. I wish I could tell you, but I don't have an author on it. All right, the next one on the agenda is community of interest, but I know that's going to shut us down. We're going to be on it for a while, so let's skip to VRA plaintiffs remedial map for a few, and we'll come back to community of interest.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
if I may have my statement,
Sure.
since I'm the
Go right ahead,
sponsor
Senator
of this
Figures.
map.
By all means.
Okay, thank you. The map that results from the remedial process in Alabama, whether that map results from the legislative process or the courts, must effectively provide an opportunity for black voters to elect their candidate of choice. In Alabama, because of highly racially polarized voting, that means the creation of a second majority black or close to majority black district. The court's order and compliance with Section 2. The federal court's order called for 2 districts that provide black voters an opportunity to elect candidates of their choice. The appropriate remedy is a map that includes 2 districts in which black voters either comprise a voting age majority or something quite close to it. Compliance with Section 2 is a fact-specific endeavor that requires analysis of the level of racially polarized voting in the state, a required component of the Gingell's test recently affirmed by the U.S. Supreme Court in Allen versus Milligan. That racially polarized voting analysis has demonstrated that for black voters in Alabama to have the opportunity to elect a candidate of their choice, districts over 50% black voting age population or something close to it. The federal court concluded that voting in Alabama is highly racially polarized. Therefore, black voters have less opportunity to elect their preferred candidate. Maps that don't create majority black districts are not likely to be compliant with the court's order because they are not likely to effectively create opportunities for black voters to elect their candidates of choice. Plaintiffs would have to conduct analysis on those maps and would likely object to any maps that do not at least reach very close to 50% black voting age population in both black opportunity districts. The black population in Alabama is both large and geographically compact enough to make up more than 50% of 2 congressional districts. The VRA plaintiffs' plan. This plan creates 2 black opportunity districts in Alabama that keep black belt communities of interest whole while largely maintaining the rest of the state's map and only introducing 1 additional county split. Black voting age population percentage by district, black all or in part. District 2, 50.08%. District 7, 54.43%. Most of the state's map is kept intact, with the only changes made being to meet the court's order of creating 2 districts for Black Alabamians to elect a candidate of their choice. It keeps the northern districts as similar to HB1 as possible. District 4 and 5 are kept the same. Districts 3, 6, and 7 closely follow the HB1 configuration, maintaining almost 90% of the same constituents. Districts 1 and 2 were the only districts significantly redrawn in order to create a second Black Opportunity District. District 2, the New Opportunity District, unites Black communities throughout the Black Belt in the southern half of the state, including all of Montgomery and the cities of Tuskegee, Phoenix City, Eufaula, Dothan, Troy, Greenville, and Mobile. District 1 maintains 66% of the same constituents. Changes include losing population in Mobile to the New Opportunity District and picking up Covington County, Coffee County, Dale County, Geneva County, and part of Houston County. Black Belt communities of interest are protected and kept whole in this map. The New Opportunity District unites Black communities throughout the Black Belt in the southern half of the state, including all of Montgomery and the cities that I named before. All 18 Black Belt counties are kept within one of the 2 Black Opportunity Districts, District 7 and District 2. None of the 18 Black Belt counties are split. At the same time of the submission, this map was included in the amicus brief as a demonstration to rebut Alabama's contention that a remedial plan could not improve Black voting opportunities while also keeping Mobile and Baldwin together and preserving the cores of former districts. As noted in the amicus brief, these configurations are far from the only available options. Moreover, the argument being pursued by the state of Alabama, which CLC was trying to refute by submission of this map, has been rejected by the Supreme Court, meaning there is no legal reason to draw the map in that way. In fact, the CLC map is insufficient as a remedy in this case. The CLC 1 map overview. This map fails to create a single majority Black district and splits Black Belt communities of interest. The map also more substantially changes over half of the district configurations in the state's map, HB1. Black voting age population percentage by district, District 6, 39%, District 7, 49%. In this map, 4 out of 7 districts lose almost half of their constituents. District 2 maintains 54%. District 3 maintains 51%. District 6 and 7 maintain 59%. In Mobile, compared to the VRA plaintiffs' plan in Mobile communities, this map keeps the over 70,000 Black voters in Mobile communities in the majority white District 1. Black Belt communities of interest are not all given adequate representation in this map. Barber and Russell County communities are separated from the other 16 Black Belt counties, and are instead kept in majority white District 2, which is 67% white, not Hispanic, VAP. Russell County is 44.5%, BVAP all or in part. Barber County is 47%, BVAP all or in part. The Singleton map overview. The Singleton map fails to create a single majority Black district and splits Black Belt communities of interest. The map also substantially changes over half of the district configurations in the state's map, HB1. Black voting age population percentage by district. Black, all or in part. District 6, 41.4%. District 7, 46.8%. In this map, 5 out of 7 districts are significantly redrawn, maintaining just 37 to 63% of their current population. District 3 maintains 37%, District 7 maintains 53%, District 6 maintains 55%. District 2 maintains 57%. District 4 maintains 63%. Black Belt communities of interest in Barber, Russell, and Pike County are separated from the other 15 Black Belt counties and are instead kept in District 2, which is 67% white, not Hispanic, VAP. Russell County is 44%, 0.5 BVAP, all or in part. Barber County is 47% BVAP, all or in part. Pike County is 35.5% BVAP, all or in part, 42% total MVAP. The Hatcher map. The Alabama legislature must pass a map that includes 2 districts that provide Black voters the opportunity to elect their candidate of choice. In Alabama, that means 2 districts where Black Alabamians make up more than 50% of the voting age population. The revised map proposed by Senator Hatcher achieves this aim by successfully creating 2 majority Black districts in the state of Alabama. District 2, BVAP 52.7%, District 6, BVAP 54.3%. This map adds 3 additional county splits for a total of 10 splits. VRA plaintiff's plan. Pike County, Henry County, and Russell County are all split in this map. It introduces another split into Mobile County, where the geographic connectors become tenuous. A remedial map should also protect the Black Belt as a community of interest by placing all of the Black Belt counties in the 2 majority Black districts. However, this map places Crenshaw County into District 1, which has a VAP of 76.91%, white, non-Hispanic. Therefore, with this statement, Mr. Chairman and distinguished members of this committee, the VRA plaintiff's plan should be voted on and reported out of committee today. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Figures, and if you would please give me a copy of those, and I'll make sure we put them in the permanent record of the committee. Is there any more questions? Let me say that just real quick. This plan is it does split the Gulf Coast community, and the people in Mobile, I'm not sure what they have in common with the people in Henry County when a hurricane comes or an oil spill hits, and our bay is polluted with oil. It contains 3 racial gerrymanders, one in Mobile County, one in Jefferson County, and one in Houston County that could very well bring a racial gerrymander claim. And the most interesting part is District 7 in this map, the Milligan plaintiffs originally accused that map of being a racial gerrymander, and this District 7 parallels the other map. With that, Senator Smitherman?
Mr. Chairman, I once again rise to the fact that I think that it's very critical that we pay close attention to the whole county concept, which, as I said earlier, is one of those issues that's still before the court as we sit here now. And as I look at the map, that it clearly splits up Jefferson County into going two ways, and it look like it's almost 3 ways. And I think that that's a serious concern to just reach into Jefferson County just to get, as the word I use, to pluck out enough people to what you need to make the rest of the whole work. I think that makes that county very vulnerable. And at the same time, I would say again that the economic hub of the geographical area of the state is sitting right there. And I think that it's critical that that county, with being the largest county in the state of Alabama, and basically almost having enough people in that one county to meet the requirements of the size of a congressional district, should just definitely be considered. And this plan is not considering that, and that's a concern that I have in particular about this particular plan. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Senator Figg.
I respectfully disagree with both of you.
So you are in favor of splitting Mobile County and the coastal community?
I'm in favor of the map that I'm introducing, which is the VRA plaintiff's plan. That is the plan that passed muster with the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
splits Mobile County and Baldwin County up.
I believe we will elect a person who is able to bring representation to that entire district. I have no doubt.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Jones.
obviously that was not a goal when we drew the legislative maps. Obviously that was not a goal when we drew all the maps for the legislature. Further, I would say this, that I believe 2 is more than 1. I would like to have 2 congressional people representing Mobile County. 1 out of District 1 and the other out of District 2. That would be great with me. I don't see why we don't think that more is better. I do. And I think that it's been proven that that's the case. There are people who've always represented Mobile County from Baldwin County. I've seen no issue with that whatsoever. So I don't understand the problem with splitting counties. It's not like you're getting ready to take them and pull them apart. It means that you just change the matter of representation. That's all it means to me. And, you know, so I really think that argument is one that should be moot for this committee. We've already done that.
And I agree with you, Mr. Jones, because, you know, Senate District 33 had always been just in Mobile County. And then during this recent redistricting process, they put me in Baldwin County and Mobile County.
That is correct, Senator, and we had to do it for population deviation.
You had
Baldwin
to do it
County
for some
has-
other reasons too, but we won't go there today.
Baldwin County has grown, Mobile County has not. And Baldwin County has either had a representative come across the bay to represent part of Mobile, and now we have a senator that goes from Mobile to Baldwin County. We also have a representative that goes from Mobile to Baldwin County. And it's
But you
all
know-
done because of population deviation.
Well, this is because of population too, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
The black population making up this district. And as I said, I have no doubt that we will elect a person who is fully capable of representing this entire district.
Would you consider the Mobile County a racial gerrymander?
No, sir, I do not.
Because it carefully carves out my district and only takes in.
Can I
majority-
respond to that?
Yeah.
Do you think I would have introduced this map had I considered that? I felt that way?
I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about Mobile County, but
The Supreme Court did.
racial, I'm not going to rehash what the Supreme Court did. But what I am going to say is that different areas have different characteristics, different communities. I see absolutely no problem with people from Baldwin County representing Mobile, parts of Mobile County, or people from Mobile County. Well, it's always been that way. It has always been that way.
We are a community of, together. We are a community of
It's
interest.
not been a problem. So why would it be a problem if we had a senator that represents a part of Mobile County, and then we have another senator that represents the majority of Mobile County, or at least representing the congressional person? It would seem to me that we got 2 bites at the apple in Washington.
If the other
for that.
member of Congress is from Mobile, but the other member of Congress is from Montgomery. So,
We still got 2 bites at the apple.
yeah, well, okay, Senator Smitherman, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I just listened at this robust conversation, even something that you brought out when you said about those counties. I think that that's very critical why we need the functionality study. I mean, if you know, unless we feel that any population is going to go out and vote 100%, which that's not going to happen, then you're going to need people who are willing to vote either way. I think the functionality report it goes to really what you were saying about, well, when you asked the question, well, do you think the people in Henry County, and something you said about the other county, I just take that scenario right there, that ain't no crossover right there. It's just what you said. See, so it's fine seeing numbers, but unless you got the functionality report to know whether that area, as I put up there, with the plan that I had, the numbers, and these are undisputed numbers, what I just gave about the way those areas were willing to trend and vote Democratic, regardless of the makeup of the area. I think unless you can show that in any of these plans that's before us, then we it's kind of like sometime when we said things we are doing on the floor, we just want to look good with numbers. But if we don't have any performance to back up numbers in terms of people, what percentage of people go out and vote, what percentage of people are willing to cross over, I think that you will have a very difficult opportunity, and especially for African Americans in particular, to be elected. And I'll say that you can look at it, and I'll just tell you one indicator, and I'm through when I say this, that this is the eye test, I guess you give. I know in our last presidential election, I think if you put that map up and see how those areas voted, I think that you'll see then that that's an eye test. It's not a number test. You'll see what those areas are leaning toward. And I think that in itself tells you why in the Singleton 3 plan and in the second plan that we haven't touched yet, that area is one of the few, if any, in the state that consistently functions in a manner that provides opportunities for African Americans in particular, but for a person in general to be elected. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Senator Figures.
I would feel more comfortable, along with the Supreme Court, that the population of the voting age population would be 50% or more, or very, very close to it, rather than going on the past of how a population voted. None of us have a crystal ball. None of us can foresee the future as to how people will vote. But I will tell you that when Representative Jones ran for mayor the first time, the voting population turned out in massive numbers in the Black community to elect him as our first Black mayor. So I would like to see the numbers where we would have the opportunity. Then it is up to us to turn that population out to vote. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Are there any more questions on the VRA plaintiffs' plan? Any more? Okay, the next plan is the CLC Map 1 plan.
Mr. Chairman, this is a map plan that I will be presenting to attack any other plans, but the CLC plan keeps the traditional standards of redistricting together by looking at whole county first and drawing districts without race in mind. And when we look at keeping Jefferson County whole, because right now we're looking at Jefferson County being split, and you have a small split there with Jefferson and Shelby. It bleeds into Shelby just a little. We also look at keeping the Black Belt community of interest in whole. 90% of those counties that are in the Black Belt are kept together all in one particular district instead of splitting them into two. And we feel that the performance of these districts has performed. If you look at any presidential election that goes back to 2008, the only counties that are blue in this state are Jefferson and those Black Belt counties. And we're shown that they can perform. We presented last week the performability, and it was presented along with the maps that's in the record already. And I think Senator Figures has read a lot out about this particular map, which I definitely dispute some of those functionality in terms of that, but I'm not here to make any arguments against it today. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir, Senator Smitherman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, very much. I first wholeheartedly support this plan as well, the CLC map. I think that this plan gives a golden opportunity for the Black Belt in particular to be able to focus and concentrate on, as we said so many times, pulling themselves up by the bootstraps. I think it gives them more bootstraps to be able to pull themselves up. And you said, what do you mean by that? Well, you know, I think if any of us in our communities understand is that when you have people in areas who go out for grants and go out for monies that have been appropriated from our national level, that the persons who lead the charge in securing those funds are the person determining how those funds are distributed, or the guidelines that are established will lean toward the persons who are area who would be in control of those funds in terms of administering them. In this case, I've seen where basically there's opportunities there that sometimes may not get the resources in the areas that they necessarily, well, I haven't seen personally, but I've seen results of areas not getting funds that may have been, that area may have been the basis for the awarding of the funds because of whether it be blight, whether it be other needs that are needed in those areas, and an area that may not necessarily need it as much, take advantage of those resources for other reasons. I think that in this case, if the Black Belt can be held together, I think that those resources can be used all through that district to be able to uplift it, to bring it up to the where it should have the opportunity to flourish and to grow. I think that this plan keeps it intact. I think that at the same time, that's something that's very historical, that it provides that opportunity. This plan provides 50 plus in terms of the percentage of African Americans in that district, and at the same time, it provides an opportunity district. And it's kind of like the honorable gentleman from Mobile said. He said that area is unique to itself, but you have other areas that are not that area. Well, this map gives that area to be a shining star for the state to show that that is a very secure and good opportunity district as well. So in this map, you have a majority African-American district. You have a chance to keep the Black Belt whole. You're keeping your whole county concept. You're addressing it as well. And you're providing, once again, an opportunity district that has performed. The senator who sponsored the plan went back further than I did. He said from 2008. I had just started from 2012. So this district really is an ideal district to meet the standards for what the court has laid out in its ruling. And I would ask the committee to support it, and I wholeheartedly support this plan. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Senator.
When you start looking at community of interest, and I'm from the Black Belt, and right now, the way the districts are drawn today, I don't feel any interest with Jefferson County. There's a lot that goes on in Jefferson that has nothing to do with the Black Belt, and I think it gets totally confused in that process, and that's why we get left out a lot, as Senator Smitham was just so eloquently stating. And I think that those other Black Belt counties in the VRA plan does not have a lot in common with Mobile County. And when we started legislating, people started looking at more of those larger counties and communities first and leave out our smaller communities. The Black Belt needs someone to concentrate on the Black Belt simply because we have all the problems that we have in the Black Belt. It will give us an opportunity to have our own representative that can represent that area and deal with those problems. We have enough problems of our own than to be sharing the problem with other larger metropolitan areas. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, could I just mention?
Yes, sir, Mr. Jones.
This is my last comment on maps, these maps anyway. I know it's not widely known, but there's a large percentage of the people that live in Mobile who came from the Black Belt.
Most of
That's,
them.
that's, in fact, most of them did.
Right.
So they do have something in common, Senator.
They don't come back no more. They don't come back no more.
Are there any more questions on CLC map 1? I've got, Senator, you've got 6 county splits, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to, Lauderdale County is an,
And they're necessary.
yeah, well, Lauderdale County is an existing split, correct? Yeah, and so is, the Escambia County split looks pretty similar to what's existing in the current. There's an additional split in Jefferson County. It includes the same.
It's not split.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Shelby County that's split, yeah, I'm sorry. And that includes the people that we talked about earlier that vote Democratic solidly.
Democratic lean.
But the interesting part for me is it puts Congressman Gary Palmer in the same district as Congressman Mike Rogers, is that correct?
Probably do, we weren't looking at, the court doesn't tell us to go and look and see what people are. We should do that blind.
Yeah, well, microphone, please.
Okay?
I'm just pointing out
We
that
should do that blind. We should not be looking at candidates when we draw lines, when you're doing it. We should do that blindly.
But you consider this a performance district, District 6 at 39.61% as a
Opportunity district.
microphone, please.
Opportunity.
You consider that 39.61% an opportunity districts for the minorities to elect a candidate
That's
of
when
their
you
choice?
said VAP, but I think that when you start to looking at the opportunity based on the blocks that we have in there, and that they're all Democratic lean, because what you realize is that these two maps, District 6 is a 55% Democrat lean, and District 6 is a 56% Democrat lean, and District 7 is a 55% Democrat lean district.
Okay, even though it has a 39.61% black voting age population.
But they're still voting
performing.
Democrat.
Okay, I understand.
Mr.
That's
Chairman.
a subtle difference, but I understand what you're saying. Are there any additional questions? Yes, sir, Senator Smith.
I was just going to say, when you was asking about that area that you're in, as we presently sit now, I represent part of 6 and 7. So when I said voters, I got voters who are in 6 who think like voters do in 7, in terms of giving people an opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any more questions or comments on CLC map 1? Okay, clerk will pull up Hatcher Congressional Plan. All right, is anybody here that wants to discuss the Hatcher remedial plan? Yeah.
Dr. Reed?
I didn't know I could speak.
Well, I'm going to acquiesce to you, sir, because
I'm glad I appreciate it, thank you. I'll be very brief. I've listened very carefully. And in all due respect, that some of these plans are not worth the paper they're written on. I'm not going to single anybody out. But for anybody to come before this committee and think that you're going to elect some black congressmen in minority black districts, you're wasting time. But that's everybody got a right to do what they want to do, and they don't have to do that. I want to point out one thing, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to have my seat. You brought up last week about some precincts being split, and I went back to double check what we've done over the years. We've never really had, in all due respect to you, this is not trying to cut you down, nothing like that, it's just to explain what we did. What we did over the years, precincts are always drafted after you reapportion, whether it's a county commission, whether it's a school board, or whatever it is. After the lines are drawn, then you have to adjust the precincts. So I want to say that precincts have never stood in the way at all of a reapportionment plan. And one other thing I'll point out, there's a lot of talk about Mobile and Montgomery. Yes, that's the plan that we are advancing. And we made some changes recently. The plan that we have now before you is going to be the Hatcher remedial substitute plan. And that plan now puts District 2 at 53.86. just a few points less than 54% black. Mine is very clear. Our plan is the blackest.
Is not this plan, do you have another plan besides this?
And then District 7 is at 55 point something, 55% black.
I've got BVAP at 54.34 in 7, and I've got BVAP at 52.71 in District 2.
Yes, sir. That's what I was trying to tell you.
Okay.
Yes, we have a substitute. That's not the substitute. We worked on it some more because we responded to some things that were said last week. We worked on some yesterday, for that matter. So we are very confident. I'll say it before you. We're very confident that we can elect 2 blacks. I don't mean vote for 2 blacks. He who comes in second never takes the oath. You got to win. And this plan, to you senators and you black senators sitting here, you wouldn't want your district to be that little, that small. Not a single one of you would want your district to be a minus in blacks. You wouldn't want that, because I talked to you about it over the years, and we worked together on it. Have you done a good job? You're falling down today now. You're falling down today. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for listening to me. Committee, I want to thank y'all. I love each other. But the bottom line is, you're not going to elect any black. And the Supreme Court has said, yes, a majority of black districts are. If you cannot find a majority of black district, then you take one they can influence, but not to influence districts over the black districts. So I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for letting me come up and talk.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. There's a question.
And I have not bothered other districts all. They're okay. But we're trying to get 2 black districts. I thank you so much.
Yeah. So we have a question. Wait a minute.
Dr. Reed, out of all the plans up here, does your plan split counties more than any plan before us?
So it may have. It may have. And I'll tell you exactly why they were split. They were split to achieve the 1 person, 1 vote. If you scatter them out, if we had a plus or minus 5, we probably wouldn't have to split as many. Just like we did your district. Some of your districts we drew some years ago. We had the same thing. Yes, sir. They may very well be split. And that's a minor matter. That cannot get in the way of the 1 person, 1 vote. County lines don't supersede 1 person, 1 vote. That's the maximum thing. Even racial fairness doesn't precede that. Racial 1 person, 1 vote is the key. And the next thing we have is racial fairness. But we put 1 person, 1 vote first. Yes, sir, they are split. Some of them are split more, maybe. But it's minor compared to what we got to do.
But out of all the plans before us, this splits counties more than any.
It may have, but it also give you the best black districts in all the other plans before you too. That's the most important thing here. Our plan provides a higher ratio of blacks in District 2 and in District 7 and any other districts than in the whole plan. Yes, sir. And you did because we split them. If we hadn't split them, we couldn't have done it. Mine's very simple. Mine's open book. No prefixes, no suffixes. Our plan is just open and fair. And the bottom line is we can win it. We can win with our plan. But some of these other plans, we're going to be caught red-handed.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. And
I thank y'all for being kind to me, and I appreciate it.
And ladies and gentlemen, it's come to my attention that Dr. Reed and his consultants have submitted a substitute plan that is not before us right now. And I will offer the same to you as everybody else. No matter what the committee adopts today, you have the right to introduce a bill and have it heard in Senate or House committee and on the floor of the House or Senate. Nothing precludes you from introducing your plan because this is not the one that's currently, you've got another one in the queue coming. So, all right. Thank you so much. Now we're on expanded black belt. Oh, yeah, and also, once again, Mr. Reed, Dr. Reed, your plan puts Representative Sewell in another district. So Representative Sewell's moved out of her district, and she'll no longer be an incumbent in District 7. All right, does anybody have any question on the expanded black belt plan? Yes. Yes, Dr. Reed, one more time.
30 seconds.
Go ahead.
There's a lot of talk about the black belt counties, and just for folk who don't live in the black belt. We don't need all the poor folks in one district. On our plan, we do split the black belt a little bit. For your information, we take Lowndes and Wilcox out and put them in District 2 for more than one reason. But having all of the poor folks together, it'll wear one congressman to death. I'm sure that the congressman from 7 will be relieved when Congressman 2 gets elected. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes, sir,
read the question to you? Dr. Reed,
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't walking away from you. I just
I
didn't
think-
overstay my time.
I think the co-chair made an observation that you say something about District 7.
Yeah, his plan takes Congresswoman Terry Sewell out of her district and makes it an open seat.
He was saying that your plan takes Congressman Sewell out of her district and makes it an open seat.
Not that I know of now, sir. I don't, not that I know of. As far as I know, it doesn't. But again, you know, under the law, you don't have to live in your district to run. Nobody. You know, Bill Dickinson, when he got elected to Congress, way back in 1965, he lived in the Lee County. But he got elected in this county. So that happens. But again, we may have, but we didn't knowingly do it. Now, we may have, you know, because sometimes folks move around so what you don't know. But we didn't purposefully do it at all. Not even, whether you're Republican or Democrat or black or white. We didn't make that, we didn't purposely do that. We were trying, my goal was to get 2 majority black districts that a black can win in.
Thank you so much. Representative Jones, you have any further questions? Okay, now we're at expanded black belt plan. And I've been told this was a plan that was put together in the reapportionment offices just to look at what we could do on getting 2 opportunity districts. Does anybody have any questions on this plan? It has a BVAP in second district of 44.01 and a BVAP in District 7 of 50.01. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back now to Community of Interest Plan. This is a plan that basically maintains the core of the existing congressional districts. District 2 will have a BVAP of 42.45, and District 7 will have a BVAP of 51.55. And it maintains basically the core of the existing districts, while providing an opportunity district and 2 for the plaintiffs in the Milligan case to elect a candidate of their choosing. Same 6 splits that are, well, no, it has 6 splits in it. That's not the same. It has the same number of splits as we currently have.
Mr. Chairman, is this very close to what we have now?
It keeps the black belt in just 2 districts. It does that. It does not split I think the black belt's split 3 ways now, and this takes it down to just 2 districts.
Okay. So there are no present congresspersons that have to go in the same district?
No, it does not pair any incumbents. Yeah, I just yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Smithers.
At the proper time, I'd like to be recognized. All right, thank you. As I look at this plan and I look at the layout of it, once again, I think that it's very critical, number one, to get the functionality report to see how this district functions and would be functioning as an opportunity for minorities and African Americans in particular to have a chance to be elected out of the District 2. Once again, I said earlier that raw numbers, you know, 1 or 2 percentage numbers of actual voters does not reflect the whether or not and cannot overcome where there is not any functional statistics that would show that the remaining number of voters to get to be 50 plus 1 would provide an opportunity for African Americans to be elected. I have serious concerns about this plan because it's, first of all, I've kind of heard a little bit, some questions that were just asked, it kind of mirrors where we are with a tweak here or there, and then we're going to ship it back to the, potentially, I won't say it because we got 5 days to go through this process, but potentially ship this back to the courts. I think that this very well may put us in a situation where a standing master is going to address, may have to address that issue. I see that we have a considerable amount of gerrymandering going into areas to provide the necessary population, I think, in terms of African Americans and our sheer numbers. In terms of the makeup of those districts. I'm very concerned about that. I'm seriously concerned again about whole counties. Once again, we, right back where we started from was in many of our counties, in particular Jefferson County, where we're just reaching in to get some black folks to make up numbers and then leaving the rest out there to go some other direction. It also splits the black belt up considerably, and that's just what I said a few minutes ago. As I look at the black belt, look like they're gonna get a whammy on both ends. They coming out of Jefferson County, coming down. So whatever is provided out there it's gonna be a strain on the people that's in the lower part of the black belt to be able to get the resources. Then the people over here, then they've got to battle everybody on that East Coast and trying to get monies for the black belt counties over there. I think really it puts them at a very, very serious disadvantage of being able to flourish and to be able to take advantage of the economic opportunities that may exist. I would like to know what is the deviation. I guess I could obviously look at it over here and be able to see exactly what the deviations are. But I think that's those issues I just mentioned to you. I just don't see this plan taking us too far from where we are now before we went to the courts to where if we go back, then we're going to say we've solved that problem. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Senator, yeah, Representative England.
So I think you represented at the beginning of the meeting that this was the plan that you're introducing. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Just a couple of questions. What specifically do you believe satisfies, A, the court order and specifically the Voting Rights Act in this map?
The court said appropriate remedy is a congressional redistricting plan that includes either an additional black majority congressional district or an additional district in which black voters otherwise have an opportunity to elect a representative of their choice. This map, what's the number? It takes the 2nd congressional district from a BVAP of 31.86 to a BVAP of 42.45. And we are currently working on trying, again, we had to wait to finish it till we got the input, but we're going to do a voting analysis because, as it was said earlier in this committee, there are districts that can be drawn that may not be majority BVAP, but a performance analysis will prove they will, in fact, they can elect a Democrat or a Republican. They're opportunity districts.
Okay. And in drawing this map, so you did not have this information available to you when you put this map together?
What information?
The information you just referred to, that you said you're trying to get the numbers.
We are working on that currently, yes, sir.
All right, so right now, we don't know necessarily if that district satisfies the requirements
We
that you just
believe
laid out.
it does, but we're waiting on a report to come back, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to say, at this point, that's still a question.
Yes, sir.
All right.
But we are
And
working on
if in fact it comes back where it doesn't perform, are there any other alternative maps out there, or are there any other ideas or concepts that you're working with to satisfy?
We have several maps that we've been through today that have alternatives. And again, I will remind you, every member of the Alabama legislature has the right to introduce a map into the session. You can introduce a plan today at 2 o'clock. And if we can have this discussion and we need to substitute, and this, we can substitute plans.
Oh yeah, no question. But the reason I asked that is because clearly, if this is the co-chair's map, and I've been here a long time, generally speaking, that's the map of choice. Okay, so I want to make sure that before this map matriculates through the process, that the foundation of it is strong and it's set. And before we can make the assessment that we believe that it does not violate the Voting Rights Act, or that it satisfies the court's order, that information that you said you don't have yet is crucial to making that determination. And also, the other question I have is, I'm assuming, how long have you had this map prepared?
We put the final touches on it late after the last meeting.
Okay. All right. So I think, so you said earlier that we received this map at the same time on I think it was Friday evening?
All these maps were emailed to the entire committee at the same time.
Okay. All right. And that's all I have at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Or anybody else have any questions?
I have just one question.
Yes, sir, Representative Jones.
Earlier, we talked about.
Microphone, please.
Earlier, we talked about the attorney having the opportunity to look over this for compliance. He had time to look over this one? To your knowledge? Did the attorney?
Well, the
committee attorney.
The attorney believes that it is compliant, but we're waiting on an analysis to come in.
I guess that was my next question. When do you expect that we will get that?
I'm being told either late tonight or first thing in the morning.
And when will we meet again to?
I will send you a copy of the compliance. I will send you a copy of the report the moment I get it.
All right.
Yes, sir, Representative English.
Just last question. You mentioned on several occasions that the analysis that you're doing is to determine whether or not this district can actually elect a Democrat. Was that one of the things that you took into consideration when you were drawing this map?
Well, we took into consideration what the court asked us to do, and that is to provide an opportunity district to comply with Section 2.
Well, what the question I ask you is, when you put this community of interest plan together, was one of the overriding concerns in your deliberation whether or not this district can elect a Democrat?
It was one of our concerns. I wouldn't say it's overriding. We were drawing a district that complied with the other guidelines of the committee and the other parts, communities of interest, compactness, contiguity, the Jingles test.
Right.
Yeah.
And to follow up on that question, there have been several comments in the public made by the Attorney General saying that one of the possible outcomes of this is to draw a map that could elect 7 Republicans. Was that also a consideration in drawing this map?
My only consideration was drawing a map that complied with what the court told us to do.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir, Senator Smitherman.
Mr. Chairman, how could that be done when we don't have the functionality report? How can just because we drew an area with, as I said from the very beginning, numbers, the 40, whatever you said, how can we say that because we just put raw numbers in there, that this meets the requirement when it says the words opportunity? The functionality report clearly lays out what level of opportunity that exists in all of these maps. Now, if you know, I would hope that we're not going to use those reasonings, what I've just heard, without knowing what this this area is going to do in terms of providing that opportunity, and go before the court with that as if we knew what opportunities that it would or would not provide, and just drew a sheerly on filling in numbers. I mean, because that's what the law, I'm not reciting that nobody doesn't know and sitting up in here. It has to be a true and genuine opportunity. I mean, the court, and you know, we can't go there trying to fake them out. That's not going to work. Not with the court, not with our Supreme Court. We've got to show through quantitative measures that this is going to be an opportunity. So once again, when will we get these functionality reports? When can we expect to get these reports?
I'm being told either late tonight or tomorrow morning. But I mean,
all right, let me just tell you this: they ain't even got to bring them out over. I come get it.
Okay.
I want you to understand that. So I don't need no hand serves. I got feet. I'll be glad to come.
Yeah,
somebody just let me know.
The goal here for me was to provide the opportunity for an African American to be elected to Congress in the 2nd Congressional District.
Mr. Chairman.
And numbers, it takes more than just raw numbers.
It takes a lot to get somebody elected.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
When we get that report, when and if we get that report, can you make the attorney for this committee available so that if there are legal questions about it, that we can get them answered without us having to sit here and speculate?
Yes, he will be in the reapportionment office and available to you.
I want him, if we have another meeting, can he be in an open meeting with us and answer questions?
I'm sure he'll be at the next committee that sees these, both in the House and the Senate.
Okay.
Representative Klaus.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I move to give this plan, the community interest plan, a favorable report.
Speak to that, Mr. Chairman. We're opening it up to voting now?
Yes, sir. I have a motion.
A second.
And I have a second.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lovin.
I have a substitute motion.
Okay.
I move that the VRA plaintiff's plan be adopted.
Second.
For favorable report.
Second.
Mr. President, or Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, we have a motion pending from Representative Klaus to give a favorable report to the community of interest plan.
Point of order.
Point of order. You can
Isn't
do
a
a substitute.
Isn't a substitute in order?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
all right, let's take this.
Oh, God.
All right, we have a substitute motion to give the VRA plan a favorable report. We'll have a roll call vote. Clerk will call the roll.
Senator Barfoot,
No.
Senator Bell,
No.
Senator Chastain,
No.
Senator Figures,
Yes.
Senator Livingston,
No.
Senator Orr, Senator Roberts,
No.
Senator Schofield, Senator Singleton,
Yes.
Senator Smitherman,
Yes.
Senator Williams,
No.
Representative Almond,
No.
Representative Boyd,
Yes.
Representative Carnes,
No.
Representative Klaus,
No.
Representative Ellis, Representative England,
Yes.
Representative Hall, Representative Jones,
Yes.
Representative Lovern, Representative Pringle,
No.
Representative Reynolds.
No.
14 nays, 6 yes.
The motion fails. The chair recognizes.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Orr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. President. I just wanted to thank you for your work on this. I see it as a work in progress. I think there could be some changes, as the chair has mentioned. We'll see that in the committee level and perhaps on the floor. But I do see some things that we need to tighten up, perhaps, but appreciate your bringing this forward, and I'm ready to call the question.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Chair recognizes the question's been called. The question for the committee is now on the original
I have a
motion.
substitute motion, Mr. Chairman.
The question's been called. We have a motion before the body. The clerk will call the roll to give.
I think we could consider the substitute motion, Mr. Chairman. Point of order. Point of order.
We have a motion before the
Point
committee.
of order,
The question
though.
was called.
Point of order always prevails to address it.
Okay, Senator Smitherman.
Don't get frustrated, Mr. Chairman.
That's fine. I'm fine.
Don't get frustrated. I'm just trying to go through the process. That's all I'm trying to do. And I have a substitute motion. I mean, even on the floor, we can go too deep. Am I wrong? We can go too deep on amendments. That's right. So I have a substitute motion. May I be recognized for it?
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson County.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we adopt the CLC Map 1 plan.
Do we have a motion and a second? The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Barfoot,
No.
Senator Bell,
No.
Senator Chastain. No. Senator Figurs. Yes. Senator Livingston,
No.
Senator Orr. No. Senator Roberts. No. Senator Schofield.
No.
Senator Singleton. Yes. Senator Smitherman.
Yes.
Senator Williams.
No.
Senator Representative Almond. No. Representative Boyd. Yes. Representative Carnes. No. Representative Klaus. No. Representative Ellis. Representative England.
Yes.
Representative Hall. Representative Jones.
Yes.
Representative Lovern. No. Representative Pringle.
No.
Representative Reynolds.
No.
14 nay, 6.
The noes have it. The motion fails. The question for the committee is back to the original motion to give the community of interest plan a favorable report. The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Barfoot.
Aye.
Senator Bell.
Aye.
Senator Chastain. Aye. Senator Figurs.
No.
Senator Livingston.
Aye.
Senator Orr. Aye. Senator Roberts. Aye. Senator Schofield. Aye. Senator Singleton. No. Senator Smitherman.
No.
Senator Williams.
Aye.
Representative Almond. Aye. Representative Boyd.
No.
Representative Carnes. Representative Klaus. Representative Ellis. Representative England. Representative Hall. Representative Jones.
No.
Representative Lovern. Representative Pringle.
Aye.
Representative Reynolds.
Aye.
14 ayes, 6 nays.
14 ayes. The map is adopted, and we stand in adjournment.